Hey friends, we are doing power Pilates today. So here's what you need. You need a mat, and the weights are optional for today. So if you are using weights, keep them light. 1, 2, or 3 pound hand weights. If you don't have any weights, but you would like to add that element to your workout, you can use some water bottles, some cans of soup, something like that, and that will work just fine. However, if you don't want to use weights, if you're new to working out, if you don't have anything with you, just use your body weight. So whether we use the weights or no weights, a couple of things we're going to make sure that we do. 1, pretend like you're moving through thick mud the entire time that you're going through the movements. That's going to create extra tension in your workout, going to create extra work for your body so that it's stronger and longer and leaner as you go. The other thing I want to make sure that you're doing is keeping your core engaged the entire time. As soon as you notice that you're starting to lose form, your belly is starting to kind of relax on you, that's the moment to stop and take a breath, re-engage with that core nice and tight. That way that you keep your back protected, you keep working the muscles you're supposed to be working in a proper form, and you maximize all of the benefits that you showed up for today, all right? We're gonna be sure we keep breathing all the way through the workout. Breath work's gonna help you get through the workout. It's gonna help you have good form, and it just makes you feel good. So go ahead and grab your items. Meet me right back here on the mat. All right, guys, we are gonna jump right in. Our first exercise is the hundreds. And I'm gonna show you 3 options that you can do so that you can tailor this to fit whatever place you're gonna work out today. We're gonna start by lying down on the mat. I want you to work your knees right above the hips. Pull your belly in nice and tight and press your back all the way into the mat. You got your weights if you're using them. We're gonna take a deep breath in. Exhale, curl the body up, lifting those shoulder blades up off the ground. Core is in, and you're gonna start pumping your arms like you're splashing water. So if you're not using weights, it's a nice firm pump. You're squeezing through your arms. Remember that thick mud we talked about? This is option 1. Option 2 is gonna be to take those legs up to the ceiling and rotate the legs at the hips so you're in Pilates stance or first position if you ever took ballet. Core is in, low back is down. And option 3 is gonna be just to lower those legs closer to the ground. We're gonna go through 100 pumps with our arms. Now you can take those legs up to the ceiling if you want to. You can lower them down, work here. And as you're going through it, if you get tired, you can always bring them back in here into that beginning position, and you can just cycle through those so that if you're not ready to stay at a 2nd or 3rd level, you can kind of work yourself into those bit by bit. If you're new, go ahead and just stay here. Keep focusing on that movement, breathing through it all the way through. If you get tired with those weights, just put those weights down and keep those arms pumping. One more round. Next movement, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna take your hands beside your ears, deep breath in, exhale, curl those shoulder blades up, bring the knees right above the hip bone here. I don't wanna bring them into the chest, I wanna keep them right over the hips, low back all the way down to the mat. We're gonna alternate tapping that toe out away from the body, bring it back in. Tap it out and bring it back in. Now, if you bring those knees in really close, you totally lose the workload, all right? So knees right over the hip, low back all the way down into the mat. Use your breath work. Let's move it. Beautiful job. Lay your head down, bring those knees back in, rock it side to side. All right, let's go on into the next exercise. So I'm gonna show it to you without weights first and then show you how we'll add those weights in. If you're not using weights, extend one leg out away from your body, nice and long. The lower the leg is towards the floor, the harder the movement becomes, so you can always raise it up to modify. You're gonna take the knee that's up to the chest, take that same arm to the outside ankle, take the opposite arm on the inside of the knee. Deep breath in, exhale, lift it up, and you're gonna stretch, squeeze that knee and chest up towards each other each time. Now, if you're using weights, grab those weights, hold them like candlesticks, and this time, keeping the chest up, drive that knee all the way up and back. And put the weights down, lay your head down, knees back to the chest. Next up, we're gonna open and close our body into a little ball and then extend it out nice and long. So go ahead and draw those knees up to the chest. Bring those arms up towards those ankles, curl the chest up, shoulder blades coming up off the ground. And I'm using weights with this. Remember, that's optional. You can do it without weights. What I'm gonna do is extend those legs out into Pilates stance. Bring those arms up by the ears. Low back is all the way down. Low back is all the way down. Circle the arms around, bring those knees back in, crunch the chest up to those knees in a little ball, and do it again. You're using breath work with it all the way through. Remember that the height of the legs is where you can start to modify. So if you're taking them out really close to the ground, it's going to be harder, but you gotta be sure you keep that low back all the way into the mat. Otherwise, you just start risking an injury to the low back. So if you wanna modify, you take those legs up higher to the ceiling, pulling the low back all the way down into the floor, keeping your core nice and tight. You can always do this without weights. And one thing to keep in mind is we are doing this movement slow and controlled. There's no swinging, no momentum, just the muscle and the breath working together. And release it. Next up, we're gonna do a crisscross movement here. It's gonna work through that waistline, through those obliques. Show it to you first without weights. If you are not using weights, place your hands beside your ears. Deep breath in, exhale, curl the body up, and then let's go and extend one leg out. Remember, the lower you go, the harder it is. So you decide the height of that leg. Bring the other knee up towards the chest, crunch that chest up to the knee. What we're gonna do is rotate opposite shoulder towards that knee and then gaze down at the elbow that's on the ground. I want you to squeeze it and hold it here for about 2 seconds and then switch it to the other side. Now, if you're using weights, what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually just use one weight, grab hold of it here, And again, take that leg out. Height of the leg is your decision where you want to be. We're going to crunch up and we're going to reach this weight as far past that thigh as we can, just gazing out to the side. As you switch those legs up, squeeze and reach to the other direction. Give it a good squeeze and a good hold on each side. How are you feeling? Did you feel a good burn in your core with that? I hope so. Now what we're gonna do is take that burn, move it around to the back side, all right? So, using weights, you're gonna take those weights and place them just down here at the base of the hips. If you're not using any kind of weight, you're just gonna place your palms down by your hips with the palms down on the floor, all right? Feet are on the floor, knees are bent. And what I want you to do is push through your heels, focus into the heel of that foot, press the hips up as high as you can get them, and now really squeeze tight through your glute. Find that activation as you press into the heel, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze through your backside, lifting those hips as high as you can get it. Now that you're up here, start to kind of play around with what happens when you move your weight of your body through different places of your feet, all right? Kind of just feel how that shifts around. So we're gonna keep it right back in the heel just so you can stay focused into that movement. Lower it almost all the way down, but not touching the ground, all right? Here we go, let's lift and down. Lift up and down. Now notice that we're not thrusting up hard. We're going slow and controlled. Nice flow through the entirety of the movement. Beautiful. Now take those hips all the way up high. This time we're going to only drop the hips about an inch and press right back up. So it's down and squeeze, down and squeeze. Beautiful job. Release it all the way down to the ground. Now I want you to take, if you're using weights, place both weights on one hip. We'll take the opposite leg, extend it right up, and place that free hand down, palm down beside the hip. All the weight is on the heel that's in that floor. Press through that heel, lift the hips all the way up. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze through your backside. Now let's take it up, almost all the way down. Up, almost all the way down. Hold that hip up, lower that leg down, thigh level, lift it up. Remember the thick mud we talked about in the beginning. Press that leg through mud on the way up and press it through mud on the way down. Beautiful. Take that leg back down. Give me little circles. Let's go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Place that foot down and roll the hips back down. Guess what? We did it on that side. Let's move those weights to the other leg. If you're using weights, place that empty hand on the ground, other leg up. Drive through the heel, lift the hips up all the way. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Let's go up, almost all the way down. Up, almost all the way down. Keep breathing through it. Focus, squeezing through that glute, pressing through that heel. Beautiful. Let's take it all the way up. Hold it up. Let's lower that leg thigh level. Bring it back up to the top. Thigh level, back up to the top. Remember the thick mud. Add that resistance. Great job. Lower that leg, thigh level, little circles. Let's go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Place that foot down, roll it down. Set those weights off to the side for a moment and bring your knees into your chest. Next, let's go ahead and grab those weights. If you're using them, place them back at that lower pelvic region. And what I want all of you guys to do is go ahead and place the feet together. Open the knees apart, all right? Let those knees fall open. And we're gonna press to the outer edge of that foot that's on the ground. Drive those hips up nice and high, all right? Press, press, press through as high as you can get those hips up. Squeeze your bum. And so you're gonna start to feel some different areas working at the same time. You feel those inner thighs engaging. You feel your outer glute, hamstrings engaging. Hold this here, breathe through it. Let's hold it 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Now we're gonna add some movement. Well, let's go all the way up, halfway down. All the way up, halfway down. Nice job. Take it all the way up. Push, 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 and the knees are still open wide. Give me that tiny 1-inch pump up and down. Lift it up and lift and lift and lift. And release those hips down, bring those knees right back up towards the ceiling. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna press to the heels, lift all the way up, open those knees as wide as you can, and lower the hips down. In 3, 2, 1, here we go. Let's go up and open and close and down again. Up, open, close, and down. That's it. All right, guys, go ahead and sit those weights off to the side. Bring your knees into your chest. Rock it side to side. All right, go ahead and grab 2 fingers around those big toes. We're gonna draw those knees up and out and just go into a yoga happy baby. So your thighs are open nice and wide. You feel a little silly here. Rock it side to side. Just loosen up through those legs, glutes, and hips. And release it down. All right, come on up into a seated straddle position. Now in this straddle, we are not trying to do a straddle split, all right? I want you to actually keep those legs a little bit closer. I can widen my legs more, but that's not what I'm doing here. I'm gonna keep them a little bit more in front of me, just not all the way together in a full pike. So you have those little sit bones in your backside, and just go ahead and kind of like pull everything apart so that you're balanced right between those 2 sit bones, and we're gonna keep those sit bones on the ground. So when we go into the movement, we're gonna be twisting to the side and hinging over. Make sure that the outside hip bone, the direction that's opposite of wherever you're leaning, isn't lifting up off the ground. You wanna keep it planted down into the ground the entire time, all right? Flex those feet, pull those toes back towards your shins, pull your belly in, and sit up nice and tall. Let's relax the shoulders down, lengthen the arms long and strong away from the body. What we're gonna do is take a deep inhale, exhale, twist it around, and I'm gonna take my pinky finger to the outside of that pinky toe in a little sawing motion, 2 times, pressing it through, and as I do that, I feel the stretch going down under this leg. I'm keeping this hip down into the ground, and I'm crunching through my waistline. 2 pumps, inhale back up, exhale other side. Just like that. and release those arms. Go ahead and twist around so that you are on the long side of your mat here. We're gonna do a rolling like a ball movement. We can do it in a ball or we can do it in a V. The V is going to be a little bit more difficult, and I'm gonna talk you through this because there's a lot you're gonna think about as you go through it. We're not just flinging ourselves back on our backs and coming back up. So first thing I want you to do is just think about lifting up nice and tall through the spine. Find how you lengthen it up. It's nice and tall, straight line. And then from right here, I want you to pull your belly into your backbone and notice how that lower back starts to round, all right? As you do that, squeeze, squeeze, and the harder you squeeze your belly to your backbone, the more the spine rounds all the way through. So what we're gonna do is roll back onto our back, but we're gonna only go to about shoulder blade level. We're not rolling all the way up onto our neck or head, all right? So you wanna control that you roll shoulder blade level, and then when you come back up out of that roll, you're going to try and stop yourself right here instead of right here with momentum, okay? I'm gonna show it to you first, and to start your roll, you actually just wanna let gravity slowly take its course. We're not gonna actually lean back into it. So go ahead and grab a hold around those ankles, lift up nice and tall to the spine, and then you're gonna engage the belly to the backbone, pulling your core nice and tight. As you do that, in its timing, gravity will begin to pull you backwards into that rock. When you come back up to the top, oh, you're gonna squeeze and you're gonna try and hold it right here. Sometimes you find yourself here, and sometimes you find yourself doing all kinds of crazy things. So, goal is when you roll, nice, smooth, round back so that it's a smooth roll. And then as you come up, you stop it right here, find that long spine, hold it, and then re-engage belly to spine to get that roll going again. Now, if you feel good in this position, you extend those legs out into a V, and it's the exact same concept. A little harder to stop. And then you lift it up and hold it, all right? So take your time. You don't have to go at the same pace as me. Breathe through it and really engage in using your core to roll, balance, and hold, all right? Here we go. All right, guys, go ahead and release it. Put those feet on the ground, knees apart, lift up nice and tall, stretch up through that spine, open the chest, and relax your shoulders down as you just breathe a few cleansing breaths here. All right, good job. So the exercise you just finished, that one is a little tricky. It takes practice. So if you found it to be a little uncomfortable, a little difficult to engage the core and find that balance and with that movement, don't worry about it. It comes with practice, it comes with time. And every time that you're doing it, whether you're doing it perfectly or you're just kind of trying to find your way, you're getting stronger all the way through. All right, so be very proud of yourself for what you just did. Now, if you felt like a fish out of water on that one, perfect. Now we're gonna be a mermaid out of water, all right? So I want you to take your hands, place them behind your back, and your fingers are pointing away from you here, okay? Core is gonna engage, and we're gonna draw those knees up so feet are coming up off the floor. Tilt the hip over to one side, knees going to one side. Now you can stay here with a bent knee, or you can open it up like your mermaid tail opening up, and then we'll fold it back in before we roll to the other side. Every time I want you to think about, as you're breathing, you're keeping your core engaged, you're engaging the obliques through that waistline. All right, go ahead, place those feet together, let those knees open up nice and wide, lengthen up through the spine, and as you exhale, let's just hinge forward at the hips, let the body release for a moment. Get into a tabletop position, all right? Place your free hand right in the center of that chest between the shoulders. Then we're gonna step the feet out apart to the corners of your mat. Pull your core in nice and tight so you're in a nice high plank. Be sure that your hips aren't coming up really high or you're sagging low or you're straining through the low back, all right? Core is engaged. What we're gonna do here, we're gonna take this weight or just that arm, fold it through, reach it all the way up, and at the same time, this hip is lifting up nice and high, so you're working through that waistline. You're gonna breathe through this. Lift the hip a little higher, get a long stretch. Make sure you're not swinging, everything is controlled, and then extend the arm all the way down as you reset. If this bothers your wrist, make it a fist and go through the same movement. Take your time, breathe through it. Here we go. Nice job. Go ahead and put those knees down, rest for just a moment, and prepare for the other side. All right, so let's take that free hand right at the center of the chest. Step those feet back into a plank position with the feet apart at the corners of the mat. Pull through your core and press away from the mat. So you're staying up nice and high through the upper body. Make sure the hips aren't lifting up in a V or sagging down, all right? Really just engage that core. We're going to do the same thing on the side. Open it up. Lift that hip a little higher. Control this part of the movement, no rushing, and then lower that arm as you reset. And bring it down into tabletop. Set that weight off to the side, toes together, knees apart, walk those hands out in front. Exhale back into child's pose. All right, guess what? Now you get to roll over and lay down on your side. Perfect? Yes, totally perfect. But we're not resting. We're still working. So I think that you probably figured that out. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take that bottom arm, extend it out in front of you. Sometimes people like to prop their head up on their hand. Particularly for me, I like keeping it down because I can keep a better alignment through my head, neck, and spine, all right? What you're gonna do is extend those legs out long behind you. And I want you to rotate the legs at the hips so you're in that Pilates stance or first position ballerina position so that this knee is kind of facing upward and the bottom knee is facing more downward, all right? Where we're going from this, we're gonna create that thick mud resistance. Take the top leg, driving that knee all the way up, 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 lifting that leg as high as you can get it. Flex the foot, push through the heel, make that leg a little longer, and squeeze as you drive that leg down through that thick mud, closing it back together. All right, here we go. Let's inhale, bringing it up. Push through the heel, exhale, take it down. As you're going through this movement, hips and shoulders are staying nice and stabilized. Pretend you have a cup of coffee balanced on each, and if you're wobbling and wiggling around, that coffee is gonna spill, all right? So pretend you've got that on there to help engage and stabilize through the hips and shoulders. All right, next what we're gonna do, same movement, drive that leg all the way up. This time you're gonna bend the knee, keep the knee up to the ceiling, don't let it fold forward, keep it up, squeeze that outer glute and inner thigh to press that knee back and slide it down. Beautiful, keeping that resistance. Let's reverse it. Resist the movement all the way through. Nice job. Now we're going to take a big circle with that top leg. Really watch the hips and shoulders, that they're not moving and shaking around too much. And you're going to only take that leg behind you as far as you take it in front of you. Keeping that cup of coffee on the hip and shoulder, let's reverse these big circles. And reverse it again, this time only smaller. Other direction. Beautiful. Hold that top leg up. You're still in Pilates stance. Let's lift that bottom leg up. Let those heels click together and release. Great job. Let's flip it around and hit that other side. So we are now on the other leg. We're creating that long line, and let's go ahead and get that Pilates stance, opening those legs up at the hips. So bottom knee is facing down towards the mat, top knee is facing up towards the ceiling. So Pilates stance, or first position in ballet if you ever did ballet as a child. Creating that resistance, moving through the thick mud. We're gonna take that top leg all the way up. Flex the foot, press through the heel, lengthen that leg as you squeeze those thighs back together at the bottom. Be sure that you're squeezing all of those muscles in that leg. Great job, guys. All right, same movement. We're just adding that développé. Keep your cup of coffee on the hip and shoulder. Make sure that you're not shaking and wobbling around. Let's lift that leg all the way up. Bend that knee, keeping that knee to the ceiling. It's not dropping forward. And squeeze all the way through those leg muscles as you lower that leg down. And keep the resistance, moving every part of that leg through thick mud all the way through. All right, now we're going to those big circles. Remember, cup of coffee on the hip and shoulder. Everything is long and squeezing, and you're moving through thick mud. Let's take that leg forward. Take it up, back, and squeeze as it presses through. Reverse those circles back. Good, and reverse them again, this time little circles. Reverse. And hold that leg up. Let's bring the bottom leg up, squeeze the heels, and lower. And release it down. We are gonna go ahead and flip over onto your belly, but here's what I want you to do first. Take those weights, if you're using them, and place them up at the top part of your mat here on each side, all right? Flip over onto your belly so that you can grab hold of those weights. Now what we're gonna do is take your feet and separate the legs, separate the feet, so those feet are kind of at the corners of your mat. Keep your thighs and feet pressed onto the ground. Extend those arms out and grab hold of those weights. Now we're gonna keep the elbows a little bit bent. Lift the chest up, pressing the top of those feet down to the mat, and squeeze your backside. From here, let's lift those weights up a couple of inches, give it a little hold at the top, control and tap it to the floor. Beautiful job. Go ahead and release those weights. We're going to take those hands up beside those ears. Bring your legs back together. Lift the chest up, hands up, arms beside the ears. Lift one arm up a little higher and the opposite leg up. Squeeze and hold. And switch. 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 switch, 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 switch. Now we're going to smooth that out. Just a little swimming motion, opposite arm, opposite leg. The chest is lifted gently. You're squeezing through your backside. And release it down. Nice job. Okay, from here, go ahead and bring it up into a tabletop position. Place your hands right underneath your shoulders. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Tuck your toes under, and then we're going to lift the hips up into an inverted V. From here, I want you to push through your arms, drive the hips up and back. Feel that long stretch going through the back, down those arms. And then let's just walk one heel down to the mat, stretch down the back of that calf, and switch it to the other side. Nice. Now press both heels towards the mat. It's okay if they aren't touching. Press and lengthen the hips up and back a little bit more. Really find the elongation that's going down all the way through the spine, through those arms, as you push the body up and away from the mat through the arms. From here, I want you to rotate over into a plank position. Hands still right underneath those shoulders, core is in. And from here, we're gonna flip those feet underneath. Let those hips lower down, push through the arms, open the chest, and lengthen up through the crown of the head. And lift those hips all the way up, tuck those toes back under, back to your downward dog. Lift the hips up and back, press through those arms, and now soften those heels down towards the mat. Rotate to plank. Hold it right here. Beautiful job. Place the knees on the ground, widen the knees apart, toes together, sit it back in child's pose. Walk your hands forward. We're gonna flex through those wrists, like lifting the wrist up, the finger pads are on the ground, and rest your forehead on the ground here. Take a couple of slow breaths, inhaling through the nose, exhaling out through the mouth. And one more breath. Beautiful job. Go ahead and just gently walk it up. Sit up nice and tall. Let your head come back up on top of the hips. And take your head over to one side. Let's roll it down to the center. And let's take it to the other side. And bring it up. You guys, you made it through Power Pilates. I hope you feel good. I hope you feel long, lean, mean, and strong. I'm very proud of you. Go have some water and have a very beautiful, blessed day. Mwah! Bye, friends. Hey friends, I hope you enjoyed today's workout. Help me out by hitting that subscribe button and giving me a thumbs up. More workouts are coming your way.